So
Yeah.
if someone said to you, in the current climate, should I continue to create things like a 5-year plan, considering all the uncertainty that's going around, or should I be focusing on short term, looking for short term results?
Good God, no, not a 5-year plan. I would say not even a 1-year plan. I think 1-year annual plans are completely outdated. Those are going to be obsolete before you ever get to executing it. I think that that's a recipe for failure, putting together these long-term plans like we used to do years ago. Yeah.
I think I agree when you use the term 5-year plan. I do think it's important to have a 5-year goal or a 5-year
Yep.
vision.
Yep.
And I think it's quite an important distinction because people will get the two a little bit confused. Because if you don't have a kind of vision or an idea or a direction where you want to go to, that's when you can sort of, using my constant fishing analogies, it's when you can start drifting on that open ocean, right? With no, you're just a victim of the current or where the wind is going to take you. You've got no rudder. So when it comes to thinking 5 years ahead, it's what do I want my business to look, feel like? How do I want my life to look like? How do I want it to fit into all of that? Who am I helping? Who am I impacting? What is that doing in the world? That's the sort of thing you think about in 5 years' time. But no, right now, I mean, you can't necessarily make a plan for a single day because we're doing this now and I'm looking out my window and I live next door to a pub. They were open again for 2.5 weeks. They've invested in outdoor spacing and all that kind of stuff. And today they've had to shut because we've just gone into a tier 3 lockdown. Now, they couldn't plan for that, but they planned for the short term. They planned for what was happening. They knew that if they increased their outdoor capacity, they were going to be able to bring in more people. They brought in the ability to do food, which was part of the way to actually get people in. So that's an example of, yes, focusing on the short-term results because you need to be able to do that. You have to be agile. You have to be able to move quickly. So planning and sticking rigidly to a plan is a fool's errand at this point. But it also does help to have that direction. And at least if you're thinking a year out and you have to understand that, okay, I will have certain financial obligations that I need to meet. So therefore, I have to be able to plan effectively to how to reach those objectives. And I have to understand how many clients, how many sales, et cetera, that I will need to make in order to achieve those. Absolutely. Then you can break it down into 90-day sprints and things like that. But
so the way I would define the difference is really being clear on the difference between the why, the what, and the how, right? So if we've got our purpose, our why is that rudder that's guiding our businesses, and our why doesn't change. That just stays tried and true throughout the duration of this business that we've launched. But the what and the how can very much change. And so as we're thinking about like marketing strategies and plans, those to me are the how. And how we do something this week, like you just described with the pub example, is very different than how we might do it in 30 days. I encourage folks to do short cycle planning, kind of like what you're describing, around 90 days. So the other thing is kind of like, I think that we have to be careful when we start saying that people think that they're just going to every day throw something in the wall and see what sticks, right? And kind of like, what you're saying is, what's the balance of that? Like, you absolutely need a plan. And for those of us that are innovators and visionaries, we can get caught up in that shiny new opportunity syndrome, right? We've all been guilty of that.
We live in the future. That's the thing. You're able to project yourself there. But you've forgotten you don't have a teleportation machine and you've actually got to make the journey.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for teams that are trying to operationalize our why and our vision to be pulled in multiple directions. So they're like, plan? Yes, let's have a plan, please. And let's kind of stick to it. And so there's definitely this balance between having our how plan mapped out for 90 days, but still being agile, being flexible, and I think also being data centric. And, because as marketers, we have access to an insurmountable behavioral data and performance data like never before, you know, how something performed, being able to assess that and being able to determine what we need to do next. We might have thought, even within this 90-day plan, that we were going to do something in month 3, and we realized that no, it actually makes sense to, we're going to have higher impact if we do this tactic instead of what we had originally planned.